There were so many answers. Can I have a question again, Brent?
If elected, what changes at the airport would you seek to implement?
Well, since I'm currently involved in changing as many things as we can, I'm not sure that I haven't already answered the question. The next thing is aesthetics to me, attracting. There's an education about the airport. There's a lot of people that don't know what the airport does for the community. For instance, just as one example, the Corvette Club coming up. Everybody knows when the Corvettes are here. I would like to see more of those clubs, kind of entice more of those things to happen, because 300 Corvettes and 300 rooms rented and 300 meals times 3, to me, is a healthy contribution to the community, to our revenue, and certainly it's generated at the airport, and there's a lot of people that really aren't aware of the contributions such as that. So I'd like to enhance that, get together with the Resort Association on a regular basis and involve them in a little bit more. Thank you.
I would like to continue the changes that we have been affecting over the last 4 years. One of the things that we do here is, as people fly into Big Bear from places all over California and the world, United States at least, but some come from further than that, is that we really have a great small airport. We simply need to continue what we're doing. We're doing a great job as far as bringing pilots in that respect. One of the things that I would like to see change would be something that we're already working on, and that is the state of the terminal building. The airport, because of fiscal problems about 30 plus years ago, only owns the bottom floor of the terminal building, and it's been in disrepair as we have been in lawsuits over the last 10 years. And so the best disposition solution for the valley for the airport terminal building is one of the big things for me for the next 4 years.
Thank you. I look at the airport not as a burden, but as a tool. If we can exploit the airport to our best advantage, it will greatly help our economy here in the valley. It has its own tax base, it has its own revenue, with some from the building and the hangars. But what it brings into the community are people that are shopping, that are enjoying our resorts, eating at our restaurants, sleeping in our hotels, and they're spending our money, and it's helping the community. If we can build upon that, that's using the tool of the airport to its better use. More events would be good. If we can have more community outreach, more participation from the community and the business community, make things easier for the businesses. Maybe they have ideas, maybe the chamber has ideas to use the airport as a tool that it is. Small business people, I support small business. And the airfare, at the last meeting of the board, it sounds like the airfare for next year is in danger, that it may not happen because of whatever difficulties somebody left in the planning has slipped through the cracks, so it's in danger from what I could understand. We've got to see that that airfare is implemented.
Okay, what would I change? I think as it stands right now, if we did nothing to the airport whatsoever, it's already, like, I think the resounding sentiment, it's already a real gem in this valley. It's a very important economic tool. You know, we do a lot of the outreach programs already, like the airfare, Young Eagles program. We fly hundreds of kids every summer, spring through summer. We do a youth aviation adventure program for scouts. We just had 200 scouts out there. So we're doing a pretty good job already. But I think the main resounding sentiment up here is that we need to market it a little better, create a better image so we can invite the public and the community in to be our partner with that airport. Like I said before, you guys own it. I'm in agreement with Chuck. I think a Xeriscape around the perimeter in certain areas would really make it more inviting. So that's one thing I'd like to see changed. And another thing I wanted to say is, I was having lunch with a good friend of mine, Jack Williams, who's in the audience here, and a lot of people see a fence around an airport, which we need for security. That's very vital, it's important, but they just feel like, you know, it's like a gated community. So I think a Xeriscape would actually go a long way to make it look a little more inviting. So those are a couple things I'd change. I have a lot more, big laundry list of things. I don't think any of them are a dire emergency. They're all like wish list items. There's a lot of little things that we could do, but right now it's already in pretty darn good shape.
From the audience, Joe, we'll start with you this time. How much is the airport reserve, and how do you think it should be spent?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
He said, how much is the airport reserve and how should it be spent?
I'm sorry, I forgot my hearing aid. Bob has to.
Let me repeat.
That's okay.
It's
But,
all right, kid.
the airport reserve, I think, is right around a little over $5 million. And most of that money obviously should be spent for airport use and improvements. I would like to bring up that I did make a proposal to the airport. I come from the corporate world, and I was trained to think globally. And when I decided to run for the board, I was telling some of my friends, and some of them are educators, they were telling me about the woes at the school department. So I came up with this idea that since the airport had over $5 million in the bank and not every penny of it was absolutely necessary for use right now, that we possibly could help the school department out by gifting a certain amount of money to them. I originally had mentioned about $2 million. And I have since had a secondary meeting with the school department, and we came up with a figure that was more palatable, hopefully to some folks, of about $900,000. I was hoping to reach out to beyond the airport fence, as I said in my letter to the board, and be even a better neighbor to the community by helping one of our other business units, as I see us all. Each one of the departments in this valley I see as a business unit. One's hurting, one's doing okay. Maybe one could help the other. Steve Castillo was kind enough to offer to lend me his flak jacket when the people at the airport found out about that recommendation of mine. Anyway, in closing with that, I say that the $5 million absolutely should be used for the use at the airport, other than my proposal to possibly help out the school department. And I'd like to see us possibly, if it's feasible and the price is right, buy the terminal building and renovate it. And my time is up, so I'll shut up now.
Over here.
Bob? Thank you.
We have about $5.6 million invested in funds and securities, very well controlled, but it brings in a fraction of the interest that we used to get. One of the things I'm afraid of, come November, there's a Proposition 30 that's on the ballot. That's Governor Brown's initiative to raise taxes. And judging from all the comments I've seen here in Big Bear, I'm afraid that is going to go down the tubes. I don't think people are going to vote for it. If that happens, now our airport may have a reduction in funding, and in order to keep it alive, we would start to pull monies out of that $5 million gradually as required to keep the airport running for at least a few years until it can weather a return to the California economy. So that's one of my concerns, is that I think we need that money, and we want to keep it in such a way that it's available should we need it in the future.
Thank you, Bob. Chuck, please.
Yes, sir. We've worked very hard at the budget. We've worked very hard at the district to get the money that we have. We've made intelligent decisions along the way, despite the disagreements from a very small few. There are some out there that would like us to, for instance, not spend anything. One instance would be something that I supported. If all of you can think back to where you were when the evacuation for the old fire came along. And I was driving by the airport, having nothing to do with the airport. And I saw one of the staff members, Ryan Goss, filling a sky crane. Took, I think, approximately 2.25 hours to fill the sky crane so that it could go back out and do a water drop. Now with the new fuel truck, which received some controversy from some, the fuel truck, I think, can fuel in less than 20 minutes. And there's no delay. So my question would be, giving away money? No. Spending it wisely? Yes. And my question to Dana Van Leuven at the time was, how many houses can burn in 2 hours? That's what I like to do with our money.
Thank you.
We have a little bit more than 4.8 million in reserve, and do have it earmarked for the contingency that Bob mentioned, with a reduction in funds from the state, that it will be operating revenue, about 40%. We also have a construction and facility reserve, and that's a lot of what we've been saving the money for, is the time when the lawsuits associated with the terminal building would end, and we could then do something with the terminal building. And then we have a capital improvement program that we are spending funds on. So those are the main things that we're doing with the reserve.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you. The reserve, that's a question that I've heard many times from the community. Probably all of us here, most of us here are interested in the airport. We have our own interests in the airport. But people that are not connected with the airport, they're asking about that reserve of around $5 million. And they're concerned that it's too much. It's something to look at, but I don't see anything wrong with being able to save and having a piggy bank. And if it's good management that created the reserve, let's not go crazy and use that reserve. Let's, we may have even harder times in the near future. And I would oppose it going to another district, the school. I don't think districts should do that. It may or may not be legal. I know I read in the paper that it's supposedly legal, but I would oppose moving money from one district to another. When we pay our tax bill, it says on all of our taxes, this district, this district, this district. And that's what we voted for. That's what we're being taxed for. That's what it should be spent on. And use the money for our necessities in the near future. If we have shortfalls, use it for improving the airport and helping the community. We've all tightened our belts. We have to, each district has to tighten their own belt.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Well, I pretty much agree with most of what's being said up here right now. And the way I'd understood it is that we had approximately 5 million in reserves. Julie, you're on the finance committee. If it's 4.8, then I'll take your word on that. Basically, I think that we need to, previous boards have worked very hard. I agree with what Joe just said. If we save, we should, keep that for a rainy day and prepare for any unforeseen circumstances, like Bob's pointing to. So the way I understood it, we had approximately 2.7 million in reserves that if we lost all funding, we could still operate the airport for about 18 months. With the rest of that, the way I understand it, according to the master plan and strategic plan, most of that is earmarked for future projects, like the possibility of having to do something with the terminal building and other infrastructure programs. I'm certainly not against helping the school district whatsoever. I mean, there's nothing more important than our kids. And I think the idea and proposal that Joe Logan put forth is very generous, it's very noble, and very heartfelt, but I would be against it fiscally. I'm all for spending our money fiscally responsibly, We have to run our airport. We can't be running other districts. It's a nice gesture, but I just don't think it'd be right for our airport.
Money matters are very interesting to everybody. For 17 years, I was a construction cost estimator, so I think I know a little bit about money. I would take a look at all the things that have been proposed to polish the facilities, improve the grounds, improve the fueling capacity for the firefighting people, do what we need to do to sort out the terminal building. Then I'd give it back to the people by reducing the tax rate.
Thank you very much. Just so you kind of know where we're going, Bob will have the first opportunity to answer the final question. And then we'll go into closing statements. Stephen will start with you with the final closing statements, go down and come back around and finish with Joseph. That's what's coming. Bob, public employees pension reform is a critical issue for the future of solvency of our districts, city, county, and state. What measures would you take to assure that the airport district avoids excessive pension costs and possible insolvency?
I think that's a question that I just put in. Here's what's going on at the airport. At the last board meeting, I got to commend the board because they made a decision to change some of the pension and health benefit requirements in that they put a limitation of $1,000 a month on new employees who may be hired. And that will save somewhere I think on the order of about $12,000 a year per employee. Right now, the full-time employees have a full pension paid for by the airport, and they have full medical coverage paid for by the airport. And in the future, that's going to be reduced, where the employee will make contributions for his own pension and to pay some of the copay on his health care. So I think that's a step that's been taken, and I commend the board for what they did. I think it's a very good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.